Okay, so we should be live. Just going to try and figure that out.
Yep.
Oh, I can.
Yep.
Ooh.
You are live. We're live. Yay.
Hooray.
It's your first time. Yay, Tamara.
Okay, there we go. Oh, first stream, first ever. Voiceover's going crazy. Sorry. If I'm ever pausing for an unusual period of time, it's because voiceover's going in my headphones.
Same.
Okay, just making sure that I've got everything. I think we're good.
Yeah, I see the live coming up on my screen, so we're good to go.
Right. Oh my goodness, I keep knocking things over. Hashtag blind girl problems.
Hey.
Brilliant. I'm not sure why I'm getting a half-second delay, like I can hear myself here, and I'm not sure why, because I don't have us open in any windows.
So that happens with StreamYards. You can't really have the live stream going in real time because as it feeds to YouTube, there is always a several second delay. So for those of us who are on the actual live backstage thing with you and here on StreamYards, we will be a few seconds ahead of what everyone is viewing on YouTube. So you have to pause the video and then I will, but the live chat, so if anyone wants to put comments down below or anything like that, we will get them in real time if you pause the video.
Okay. Yeah, it's so strange because I think you finished talking, but now I can hear you and I have no other windows open and I don't have the video playing anywhere else, but I can still hear the half-second delay.
Oh my goodness. Interesting.
And okay, no, it says I only have one tab open. And then I can hear you and I can hear myself on a half-second delay, which is really awful. I don't want to hear myself on a half-second delay.
No kidding.
No, that doesn't help.
But you've got several people saying hi, so I will say
hello, everyone.
Let's see.
Thank you for joining.
Let's see. Sorry, blind moments here, guys. If anyone needs examples of blind moments, that'd be right now. So I'm trying to, let's see, Mattis,
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't see it.
One moment. I'm just gonna quit. I found it. There we go. It was playing it live in Messenger. I don't know why it was playing in Messenger, but anyways, now there's no horrible delay, and I can actually get going here and properly interact with everybody. Hooray!
Yay! Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I hear I'm so sorry if I butcher names here. Mudasir Khan, hello. And we have Poodle Eyes in the chat. Hello.
Oh,
how are we all doing this evening? So this is the very first live stream. I have a wonderful special guest with me this evening. I have Cindy from Seeing Blind with me. And I'll let her introduce herself in a minute. But just some quick notes. I am using a screen reader, so if I'm a little bit slow to get back to your comments, that's what's going on. Because I've got to listen to voiceover and I'm going to try and stay on top of it, but sometimes there might be some very slight delays there. If you have any comments or questions, please keep them coming. We love kind of interactive, any kind of suggestions or thoughts you have. We want to interact, so keep that coming all night long. We'll be here for the next half hour to an hour, depending on how things go. But I am going to turn it over to Cindy so she can introduce herself, what her channel's about, and all of the things that you can find over on her channel, which is linked at the top of the description. So definitely go follow her there.
Thank you. Hi, guys. My name is Cindy. My channel is Seeing Blind. And my channel exists because when I became a parent and after I had my second child, I realized, oh my gosh, I am racking up a lot of like just different ways that I do things, not only as a blind person, but as a blind mom. And so my husband encouraged me. He said, you should start a YouTube channel and share, tips and hacks. And at the time we were living in a rural area and I did not have a very large community and support system. And so I was thinking, okay, maybe this could turn into something someday. And it's become such a wonderful, beautiful community on my channel. Everyone has just I so love all the subscribers and all the people that I've met, and I share tips, life hacks, especially for blind, visually impaired individuals, but anyone with a disability can usually find some good gold nuggets there. And so, yeah, I try to do my best to share those tips and hacks, parenting, just general blind community chats and discussions like this one. Yeah, you can. I try to be diverse. So just trying to serve the public.
Well, that's fantastic. We are so glad to have you. And it's perfect because tonight we're talking about kind of coming to accept your disability, accepting your
Yes.
blindness, and some of those really awesome accessible workarounds, those tips and tricks, those fun things that you figured out that might not be
Yeah.
necessarily obvious right off the bat.
Right.
So, why don't we dive straight in with what was your journey like trying to accept your vision loss, and what is that story?
You know, I so in a lot of my reflections back on this topic, because this is a topic that I have revisited a lot the past several years, and I have actually really related to the 5 stages of grief and loss. The doctor, who was it? Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, I think. She in the 60s, 70s came out with 5 stages of grief and loss, and I really truly realized how much of my journey with acceptance of my disability reflected a lot on those 5 stages, because they a lot of people will apply them towards a death, someone who close to you who you have lost, but really losing your vision or losing anytime there's a major life altering event and a disability comes into play and you've experienced a major loss that really kind of shakes your identity. It really shakes, you know, not only your life presently, but the life you thought you were going to have in the future. It just completely reshapes all this. And you still go through this grieving process. You still feel that as a loss. And so many of those 5 stages, when I was, kind of going back on and reflecting some of the college courses I took back in the day, and just really revisiting that, I'm like, oh my gosh, my acceptance journey has really, really resonates with a lot of those 5 stages. And just for those who have not heard of them, they are denial, anger, and then it was bargaining,
Mhm.
and the fourth one was depression, and then acceptance. So, we all bounce around them at different times and we all feel them in different ways, but somehow it seemed like every little phase I went through always harkened back to one of those kind of umbrella terms. And
Mhm.
so in the very beginning, I definitely, as a child, struggled with denial,
Mhm.
and I really got I mean all of them, but at first I denied it in a sense that I did not want others to see my impairment. I did not want to show that I had anything wrong. Hey, I'm just the normal girl sitting next to you at the desk doing my best to pass this class, like, and I became a chameleon in many ways. I gained just as many ways that I adapted to my sight loss, I also adapted in ways to hide it and these little ways of masking it. Because as a teenager, you never want to be the oddball. You never want to be the different person. And you never want to try to explain vision loss to a bunch of teenagers that are never going to understand it. Like they think they're invincible. Like, what? How can you not see? Like, and it is the whole you're blind or you're sighted. Which one is it? They don't. I didn't have the communication skills to go there, and I wasn't in the right emotional place to do so either. So I was in denial. In the fact that I was trying to deny it to everybody. And then, of course, I went into the bargaining where I'm like, okay, what can I do? Is my diet? What can I? Can I go to a different doctor? Is a different doctor going to tell me something different, or to bring up some cool treatment or something, or and with bargaining also comes guilt, like, oh, if I had, maybe did I do something wrong that caused this? And so I went down that path. And so, I hit all of these phases at different times. We all kind of go through that depression where we feel really isolated. We all go through that anger phase where we are so mad and we're like, why the hell was it me? Why is it me? I'm the only one in my family, that is visually impaired. And at a fluke mutation, here I am, the only one, and no one even wears glasses. I'm like,
Wow.
What in the world? Like, why me? And so, yeah, I was bitter. I was resentful. I was full of resentment for a long, long time. So very angry. And then depression, and you hit them multiple times too. It's like you'll pull through one, and then a year so later, something might change, and you kind of revisit it for a while. And I think it's an ongoing journey of maintaining your level of acceptance. And acceptance doesn't mean that we think that it's okay. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not happy that I'm blind, but I am the happiest person I can be blind. And I accept that, hey, there's going to be bad days. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be angry, or I might be depressed, and that's okay. And I allow myself that, but it's all part of the acceptance journey.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think if you caught the previous stream where I was over on Cindy's channel, you can absolutely check that out as well. I don't think I added a link to that, but I will absolutely do that after the stream tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Our stories parallel each other's in so many ways, in terms of the masking and bargaining and just dealing with each one of those phases of grief, dealing with that trauma of being different, being visibly different in a variety of ways, in not wanting to look blind, not wanting to be the disabled one, not wanting to be the odd man out, because it for me, acceptance is being okay with who I am as I am and loving myself in the moment, but not necessarily being happy with the deck of cards I've been dealt in life, right? Because everyone goes through things that you have ups, you have downs, and some of mine are related to my blindness and many of them are not. And I just have to accept it as it comes and recognize that, okay, great, no, I don't have it easy. I don't have it perfect. It never will be. It's never perfect for anyone. Maybe I have a few more challenges in my deck than other people, but some people have more challenges than I do. So you just have to kind of take it as it comes. So that's acceptance for me.
Yeah.
I think, being a person, and this might be difficult because we both have been legally blind or visually impaired from a very young age. But do you feel, being in the community, that losing vision later on, it becomes harder to accept?
I have heard many, many people ask this question, if it's easier, if it's harder. And, there's pros and cons to it both ways. There's times when I'm like, hey, if you're like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, and you're just now experiencing sight loss, I want to say, hey, be grateful. You got to drive. You got to do all, like experience a lot of and have those under your belt. But at the same time, that's like the bigger the fall because those are the things that it's kind of like what you're
Yeah.
losing at that
Mm-hmm.
point. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the flip side, it's kind of like, well, I have never driven. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had that sense of independence where I can just get up and go when I want. And so because I've never had it, I don't have that memory of kind of teasing me in the background, making it that much more bitter for me, not being able to ever drive. So, I really don't know one way or the other. I think everyone has a very unique individual experience with sight loss, no matter what age you are, and everyone grieves it differently and
Mm-hmm.
processes it differently and adapts differently. And so, because of that, I think it is such an objective question,
Yes.
that it really just depends on the person. And at the very end, I think at the end of the day, we're all striving for the same thing, whether you're 5 or 85. We're
I could
all looking to live our best life.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one. I wanted to ask that question because I know it's a difficult one, and I know that
Mm,
that's a thought process that goes through a lot of people's head. Is
yes.
well, if I learned it younger, then would it have been easier? Or if this had never happened, like there's a lot of woulda, shoulda, coulda that you
Yes.
tend to go through in that bargaining acceptance phase when you're adjusting to life as a person with disabilities, as life with a person, as life with a difference, a visible difference, or a different experience from the others around you. And
Right.
it I think that's the difficult part. Is absolutely, if you're young, you can learn all the skills early, you might have better interventions, you don't know what you're missing. But there's definite advantages to knowing what that independence is, understanding the visual world around you more fully, understanding the broad range of colors, and understanding detail and depth perception, and those are things, I had to teach myself the color wheel by rote. So
Mm,
I still get it wrong. Okay, now purple is made with blue and red. Those are things that are very natural for people to understand. Oh, well, that clearly those two go together to make that. And for me, that
yeah.
was something I had to learn. Um, so
Yeah.
yes, there's definite advantages and disadvantages to both, and I could not agree with you more. I'm just going to pop over to the comments here because we got something from Poodle Eyes, and
I love
she,
that name, by the way. That
oh,
is
it's
so.
fabulous. Ah, her and her amazingly fantastic poodle guide dog named Cindy she has been
Yay!
a long time follower. We've been friends since high school, so
Oh, how
it's
wonderful.
fantastic. So glad to have you here. So she says, people think I'm crazy when I tell them I think it was a lot easier growing up legally blind rather than losing vision later in life. But I truly,
Right?
but I truly feel that way. And I think for me, that's definitely, I lean more to that side as well, because like you
Mm,
said, you learn those skills, you learn those accommodations for yourself early on when you don't really have that fully formed self. When you don't kind of know who you are yet, you're figuring it out, right? I didn't
right.
know I've been legally blind my whole life. I didn't know I was legally blind till I was 6, and then actually understanding what that meant till much later.
Mm,
So you learn to accommodate, you learn to adapt for yourself, whereas if you're suddenly pushed into it, absolutely that makes a lot more challenges for you because you're used to doing it one way, and now all of a sudden everything in your life has to be done a different way.
yeah.
um
And I think a
Absolutely.
lot of people too who do lose it late in life, many of them I think, well, isn't it too late to learn Braille or isn't it
Hmm.
too late to learn this and this and this? And I always tell everyone like, no, number one, it's never too late to learn anything. I think if you have a desire and a drive and ambition to learn something, you can learn it. And
Oh, absolutely.
I there for a long time, I was told I didn't need to learn Braille because at, many, many, many years ago when I was first diagnosed, the doctors were like, "Oh, your visions isn't going to get beyond 20 or 200, which is like the borderline of legal blindness." And I'm like so far beyond that, and I felt deceived. But they purposefully did not really encourage Braille for me because they thought I would always be a printed reader, and I am not. And so to this day, I am signing up for classes right now. That's my next step in my acceptance journey of adapting to my disability. It's an ongoing journey, and I'm now in cane training and Braille.
And that's fantastic. I'm so happy that you're doing that for yourself. That's a wonderful and tremendous step. And I'm with you. There is no age that's too old to learn something new. You will learn till the day you die. You will learn something if you're willing to kind of be open to learning. I mean, I've seen people that pick up learning how to use a screen reader at 85, and they've never touched a cell phone before. So if they can do it, there's no reason why, somebody in their 70s can't learn Braille. There's no reason why we shouldn't teach kids who are 5 to learn to read Braille. And I mean, my parents, when it comes to Braille, I'm really glad that they pushed for it for me, because they thought, I was always supposed to be a sight reader as well. I was brutally slow, like so painfully slow when I was trying to read with print. But always thought, okay, Tamara's going to read with her eyes. That's just the way it's going to be. And then bam, I lost some vision, and then that just was completely off the table. So having that skill to fall back on, having learned that, it was so much easier than just all of a sudden having to jump in the deep end. I mean, I don't know if this is realistic, but I've always wanted to have Braille courses in high school the same way you see ASL courses. There is no skill that's useless. Even if it's just for fun, even if it's just you're dabbling, even if you only learn the alphabet, there is no useless knowledge.
Amen.
I think I'm going to jump to the comments again here.
Yeah, it looks like there's some new stuff over there.
Kimberly has said, I have to agree with, I think, Poodle Eyes. I lost my vision at 54 and am in training. Sorry, voiceover is too fast. I'm going to slow it down when we do streaming next time. And hear a lot of the same sentiments from the older community. So yeah, that's yeah, for sure. If you lose it later, it definitely presents more challenges than if you had adapted early on. But they both do have their strengths and weaknesses, right? Not not knowing what you're missing out on, or knowing that what the world around you actually is definitely a challenge when you are partially sighted or fully blind. And you miss a lot of details. Funny little anecdote, I didn't know till I was in high school and thoroughly embarrassed that giraffes had long necks.
Oh my goodness.
One of those things that just nobody had taken the time. People just assumed it was a given. I just thought they were yellow and brown cows. I thought that's what a giraffe is. They're yellow and brown cows. And it was just, not knowing that, never ever being able to see one in a zoo, not being able to really look at a picture of
touch
one and understand what it is. I thought giraffes were brown and yellow cows. So, that was me thoroughly embarrassed in a high school English class saying, what do you mean giraffes have long necks?
So, I had a similar moment, except this hit me like in my 30s. I don't know, it's probably like 4, 5, 6 years ago. My husband was talking about like stars one night, and he was like, "Oh man, there's some big ones up there. They're really twinkling or something." And I'm like, "What do you mean they're stars don't really twinkle, really? Do they? Like the song?" And he was just like, well, honey, well, yeah, for those of us who can see the star, like they do have kind of like a twinkle flashing kind of flare to them. And I'm like, Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I thought it was just a song.
You just blew my mind. I didn't know that either. I thought you could see
I
stars in the sky. They're like pinpoints of light. I didn't know they twinkled.
know, right? See,
Just little details nobody feels like,
little. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's little things like that it's like those who are sighted all their lives. It's they don't think
Second
to
nature. Yeah.
verbalize those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's and it's like, and how do you know? It's and I feel like the road goes both ways. Like we don't know what
Mm-hmm.
sighted people can see, just like sighted people don't know what,
What we see.
yeah, visually impaired people can see. And the blindness spectrum is so, individualized too. Everyone kind of sees a little differently. So or not at all. And it's just, so it's one of those things where I love discovering little things like
Mm-hmm.
that all the time.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm constantly peppering my partner, my long suffering partner, with questions. Well, what do you see now? And like, well, what does that look like? Or
Yeah.
what color is that? And like, how would you describe that? And just 1,012 kind of questions just to try and get a sense of what it is. Poodle Eyes has just jumped in and she's with us. She didn't know that stars twinkled either. So yay! I'm glad we're not the only
I'm
one.
so glad I'm not the only one. Oh my gosh. And see, I think that's another thing that is so big on acceptance, like the
Mm-hmm.
value and the validation that you get from
Mm-hmm.
a community and a support system goes
Mm-hmm.
such a long, 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 long way
Oh,
to
completely.
to your acceptance. And so I so appreciate you, Tamara, having such a wonderful, beautiful channel, putting out content like this for our community, because, as you and I, we've talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
I think behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
during at one point conversation, and we were talking about how, like, it can be kind of confusing for the world when there's only one major star in
Mm-hmm.
social media representing the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, I'm not going to name names, but I'm pretty sure we all know who I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about, the big
Mm-hmm.
the big girl, and she's done great work. But it's like when there's only one person, there's not enough of representation there to really create a whole community that everyone can get behind and relate and find
Mm-hmm.
someone that they can connect with on some, it's, we don't all
Absolutely.
have the same.
Eye
You don't have to
disease.
have,
No.
yeah, you don't have to have, and you don't have to, but
Mm-hmm.
still having that diversity of presence,
Right.
it just is invaluable. And so that's why I always try to do my best to support every blind YouTuber
Me
or
as well.
Instagrammer or
Mm-hmm.
anyone who gets the nerve to conquer social media blind, because there's so many people in rural areas that don't have a local community, who don't have,
Mm-hmm.
good state funding, or, in your case in Canada, I'm not sure how you all, work out services for the disabled, and especially,
Mm-hmm.
blind, visually impaired. But in so many areas in the States, there aren't a local area, that you can gain that support system from. And so we have no choice but to depend on social media, things like this. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
props to everyone popping
Yeah.
in on Tamara's live stream tonight, joining our community and chat, because
Yeah,
that's where
it's
you will see a
fantastic.
lot of value.
Oh, completely. I mean, it is truly wonderful. I mean, the reason I started on YouTube is I think for the very same reason you did, is just to find that community and show that
Yeah.
representation of a
Hmm.
really diverse and incredibly unique community
Hmm.
that you just don't see because there isn't enough visibility, and we are such a small minority that I found it incredibly beneficial that once I started making videos and getting the nerve to reach out to other creators and seeing those other comments and thoughts and ideas, it was incredibly eye-opening for me because the I live in a relatively large city, but I didn't know many other blind people. I didn't know anybody else with my particular condition. And then for me, it was reaching out to the Facebook groups and
Yes.
reaching out and finding a niche of people with my exact condition. Like, I'm like, wait, there's 8,000 of us on Facebook? Holy cow. You know, just that moment of, I'm not the only one. And then finding people in that group and speaking to people and going, your experience is the same one as mine. I'm not the only one. It really validates you and makes you feel good. So if you are struggling with dealing with acceptance, there are dozens of fabulous Facebook groups which are incredibly active. Many posts every single day where you can ask any question under the sun or just chat, and everybody's pretty friendly, I have to say.
I haven't had any problems. That was actually one of my worries. Just like, when you take up the white cane and stop the whole masking and you own your disability with pride and you show it. I still had that slight hesitation and fear that, okay, am I going to get any negative pushback? Am I going to have any negative experiences, or like, okay, what's going to happen when I put myself out there? And I had the same kind of anxiety on social media and starting my YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, I am a very kind of sensitive person. I love constructive criticism, but when I'm not really expecting things and someone just really throws out a negative comment, which I have totally received. Like I've had people just like, oh, poor pitiful you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that was just uncalled for. But I was really worried that I was going to get some very serious, just a lot of negativity. And I haven't received a lot of negativity. And I really feel like it's because and like you said, it just validates it. It really supports my theory that more representation from the blind community is needed on social media. And it is such an excellent way to help educate our communities and our societies and culture to the world of visual impairments, because it is such a small kind of niche, and we kind of get trapped in our boxes of isolation, and we stick to our own little circles, and we don't really want to branch out too much. And because of that, I feel like there's people that go their entire lives with never meeting a blind or VIP. And I'm just like, wait, what? You've never met anyone who has like any kind of vision problems? Really? And it amazes me so much sometimes. And so it fires me up that much more to get that much presence, to impact our community and educate, because that just makes the world even that much more aware and easier for us all to live together.
It makes it that easier. And this is my very smooth transition to universal design and accessibility.
That's right, girl. Yay.
But before we do that, I'm just going to jump over to the chat because there's a few things coming in. Aletha's Humble Life has said, you are both gorgeous. And I'm so happy to see this. So happy to have you here, Aletha.
Yay, welcome.
Sandra says, I don't like Facebook. Greetings from Australia. And yes, I totally agree. I think more blind YouTubes. And absolutely, you don't have to use, there's blind groups on just about any social media you can imagine. You can find a community on Instagram. You can find a community just through blogs and vlogging. You can find a community through YouTube. So whatever your jam is, I'm just speaking from Facebook because I found that one was the most active and kind of inclusive community that I found. But you do what's right for you.
And Sandra, I too don't. I don't really use Facebook either, except only for the groups tab. So it's like I never even check like that main feed section hardly ever. And I mean, at times I'll look at like the marketplace section to see like if anyone's selling anything in my neighborhood. But other than that, like the groups thing is the only thing I use Facebook for. And I mean, but I don't know. I totally agree with you there. But and see, and you'll get trolls there too, man.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I
I mean,
mean,
you'll find
it's
anywhere on the internet. I mean, because people are either ignorant, unaware,
yes, yes,
or just want to poke fun, and maybe it's not in the most appropriate way, or they
yep,
want to get a rise out of you, and that's the way they entertain themselves. So
right.
you just got to take everything with a grain of salt, and if you feel validated by the experience, awesome, all power to you. If you don't use it. Um,
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, this is an excellent comment from Poodle Eyes, and I think both you and I have talked about this behind the scenes as well. She says, sometimes I get worried I don't look blind enough. For example,
Oh yeah.
using a guide dog but reading my phone with magnification. Being accused of faking blind drives me insane. I
Yes.
I have been accused of
Yes.
faking blind just about as long as I've been alive, or that they've known I've been legally blind. And it absolutely hurts because people don't understand that vision loss isn't all or nothing. It's an
Right.
incredibly broad spectrum. I remember seeing something pop up in my news feed a few days ago about a viral video of a woman using a white cane but reading her phone, and everybody saying she's faking blind. And
That
that's
yes,
awful.
that is actually, I know exactly what you're talking about, and that has
Mm-hmm.
actually popped up year after year after year.
Yeah.
That thing, that image, it's an, I don't know if it's an image or video. The only thing that I've come across is an image, and it's of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did a video, I think a year ago, responding to it, like things that
Mm-hmm.
offend or something. And I was, yeah, I'm speechless
Mm-hmm.
over this. I can
Yeah.
totally relate to this. Now, no one has, I can't say that anyone has outright to my face said, you were faking it. But
I
here's what
have.
I have heard. Really?
Oh,
I get that they don't believe me that I'm that blind because I
mm-hmm.
don't, I appear as though I see more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've lost my central vision, and the way I've adapted, my eyes and the muscle movements still somewhat can mimic normal, I guess, and I can
Mm-hmm.
certainly make them mimic normal vision if I really wanted to. But I people will just not believe that my vision is bad as I try to explain that it is. And so
Mm-hmm.
they still have these heightened expectations like, oh, well, like they'll ask me to do something that I really am the last person on earth that needs to try to attempt it. And I
Mm-hmm.
try to explain that, and they're just like, but, and so, and so they just don't believe it's as bad. That is where I get the most frustration because they just can't understand how I explain it in my words, and they just don't believe me because I don't appear that blind.
Yeah.
And it is so, that is such a big thing that I think all of us, again, it helps with representation to break
Mm-hmm.
that mold of what does blindness look like? What and
Mm-hmm.
how, like it's so frustrating when people say, "Oh, if you have some vision, then you can't say you're blind. You should say you're like," there's this
Yeah.
whole argument
Oh,
and
yeah.
controversy. And I'm like, you know what? If I have to say legally every single time I am trying to explain that I'm blind,
Mm-hmm.
I relate more as a blind person. So why
Yeah.
can I not say that I'm blind? If
Yeah.
just because I have some functional vision, I all of a sudden am not, I'm like kicked out of the club
Well, I mean,
and vice
I think
versa.
it's gatekeeping. It's gatekeeping, and we shouldn't have that.
Yes.
We really shouldn't.
Yes.
A Leaf has jumped in here and said, "Oh my goodness, yes, been through that so many times. Have had people say it to my face,
Really? Yay.
or you're
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
blind. Get over it." And
Yes.
I
That,
have had that so many times. I've gotten the, well, how many fingers am I holding up? Or,
yep.
well, like, what's over
Why don't you
there?
wear
Or, what?
glasses? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you get surgery? Like, get LASIK. You just need
Yep.
some LASIK.
Got that
Or
one
have you
too.
tried all of that? And, I've spent so many years, and this is part of my journey to acceptance, hiding my blindness and trying so desperately to hide it. And people tell me, well, you look blind when you do that. So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. So I do it a different way.
Yeah.
That, and I mean, I had functional vision when I was a lot. A lot. I was very legally blind. I was around 2400, 20 over 400, or 6/120 metric. Metric's no good for me. I've always done the imperial way.
Yeah.
20, so yeah,
20 over 400. I was there for
660. Yeah, that's kind of where I was around for most of my childhood. And then, so, you know, I knew how to adapt to that. Of course, I looked at things. I got real close to them, but I looked at things all the same. And then when I lost vision, that doesn't change things. I still look at things. If I hear a noise, I turn towards it. Doesn't mean I'm going to see something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm listening, like I'll listen to voiceover. I was for example, so I was at the gym, the YMCA earlier today, and I was looking in the direction of my phone, but listening to voiceover. And I guess, I don't know, I get stares all the time. People, you know, will obviously, I sense it. I don't see it, but I'm sure I am like magnifying it in my head a lot more, like people actually like blatantly staring at me. And that's one of my hiccups as a self-conscious disabled person. I always feel like people are staring at me when I'm looking like really, really close to things blown up, and if I have my voiceover on. But it's like I have totally I look at my phone, even though I can't see it. You know, I have no idea what the words are saying. That just I have voiceover on, but I'm still looking at it. It's so bizarre. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, and even if you don't look at it, I don't think people should get shamed for quote looking blind either. We should just accept people the way they are, as they are, and not make fun of them if you look two-sighted or you look too blind, or you like. It's this mentality of stick people in X box or Y box, and people don't fit in boxes. You know, you could line up 100 people with the same visual condition, and every single one of them would see something different.
Yeah.
Because it's to different extents, it's progressed to different amounts. The experiences are as unique as people. So I'm just going to pop into the comments here. Anne says, hello from the East Coast, watching you and the NBA playoffs. Hello, welcome. Hope you have a lovely evening at work. So I want to transition over, because we keep getting off topic, which is part of the fun of doing a live stream, I think. But I want to talk about some of the fun things or some creative, adaptive solutions that you've found that have made a huge difference to your life.
Oh gosh.
If you need to think about it, I can dive in with a few of mine.
No, yeah, you start first. I was trying to type in something without voiceover on, and it's been so long since I've done it, but I wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat while you were talking.
Very nice.
Okay, all right.
So you can click on her name to go follow her right now. You better go do it.
Oh, yeah, you could. Well, you could if you wanted to.
I'm telling you, go do it. So what strange things that I find to be incredibly helpful in my kitchen, surprisingly, a knife block. You know, you wouldn't think that would be a big thing, but for me, I have grabbed knives by the blade so many times.
Yeah.
That just always knowing that they're in the correct orientation, I'm never going to grab something by the blade. Huge difference. And right, you pick them up for $10. Yep. Huge difference. And nobody's going to think it's an adaptive thing because you're blind. You just have a knife block. Yep. So I have a lot of those in my life. Have you come up with a few for you?
Yeah. So it's so funny that you say that, because everyone on my, like most people on my channel, every time I put like up a kitchen tips or hacks video, or, you know, kitchen tools that are actually extremely useful for the blind visually impaired, everyone's always like more and more and more. And I just posted one talking about like I love apple slicers because they can make some excellent potato wedges. They can make dicers. Like I use my apple slicer to dice even. I love, and it's interesting that you said a knife block. I have a knife block, but I'm actually getting ready to purchase one of those magnetic boards that you put on the wall because I really want to see how the whole magnetic thing works and if it is an accessible option for the blind. I don't know. I want to test
Let
that
me
out
know
because
how it
I've
works.
seen, yeah, I've seen it on, like I hear people talk about it on Instagram. I've heard people talk about it in TikTok, and I've heard, like on the, oh, what is the Home and Garden kind of channel and stuff. And so I'm going to try some of those things out. But I definitely, there's lots of kitchen tools. I think bump dots are fantastic. They're a must-have if you don't have bump dots. I even love exploring the puff stickers. Now that I have kids, you can get they make those tactile, like just puff character stickers. It's a cheaper option. It doesn't stick as long, but it is a fun way to accessorize your house if you have if you have children, to not only accessorize in a fun way, but it also serves an accessibility purpose in that way. So we're exploring puff stickers right now in my house.
Very fun. If I could dive in just for a second, in terms of bump dots, one of the easiest and least expensive solutions I found for finding those is go to your dollar store and look for their scrapbooking or their kind of just general furniture aisle. Like anything, I use furniture bumpers all the time. They come in little tiny ones and big ones. Awesome for 1,000 different things. And then they make little square ones that are supposed to kind of raise things up for scrapbooking. Again, fabulous, stick forever. $2, you're set for life.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, continue, please.
No, you're fine. I also love command hooks. Oddly enough. Command hooks are like a lifesaver because those of us who are blind and visually impaired, like everything has a place and every place has its thing, and that's where it needs to go. And when we want to find something, we want it in that place. When you have children, oh my God, completely, like it will completely just it takes to a whole other level. And so I have learned the value of floating shelves and command hooks and and hanging things up high out of their reach, where I still know where they are, but I can find a place that is not within their reach. And again, it was just a way of reorganizing my house, if you will, with command hooks. So they're not foolproof by any means, but they definitely get the job done when you need it. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the big ones for me is drawer organizers, like those sectioned drawer organizers where you could put everything in a little cubby. So, I can feel around really fast and I know, okay, well, that one's in the back cubby, so I just got to reach in the back, or that one's in the left cubby. And then you can really quickly orient to wherever you're being. And it could be whether you can see it, whether you can't see it. And they come in high contrast colors. You can get them in black or in white. So whatever kind of helps your vision the most, there's options. So I'm very into the baskets, the bins, the drawer organizers, those little things that help make things seamless. And I'm all about that kind of accessorizing your accessibility. So if you can find a way to make it look cute or make it look pretty, I'm into that too, but that's just because I'm a girly girl. So
me too. It's so funny. I have two thoughts at the same time. And I'm like, okay, which one do I go to first? So one of the videos that I'm actually getting ready to kind of work on and start planning out. I'm way behind on my channel, but is a dollar store accessibility finds. I don't know what I'm gonna.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
what I'm gonna.
fantastic.
I don't know what I'm going to title it, but here, we have a Dollar General and a Dollar
Mm-hmm.
Tree, and
Mm-hmm.
everything at the Dollar Tree is $1. And so there they have these excellent little bitty baskets that are
Mm-hmm.
perfect in my drawers, and they work as drawer organizers. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you get 3 for $1. And then they have the larger baskets. And so I ended up like completely organizing my entire laundry room with baskets. And then I found on the Dollar Tree website, like you can get these chalkboard labels.
Mm-hmm.
I love the dark background with white lettering.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes if it's a large, like just one letter where there's not like a whole lot of letters, that
Mm-hmm.
ends up getting too visually confusing for me. But
Yep.
sometimes if it's a very dark background, I could put a big, large white initial on it, and then I can usually pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
However, so I ended up getting these chalk labels. So they're black, and then I have a white chalk pen. And so that is an easy way that I can initial things or label things. If I typically, when you organize things, you remember. If it's you organizing it, you know where everything goes, right? But
Mm-hmm.
with multiple people now in my household, and raising kids, hopefully they do their laundry someday here soon. They
Mm-hmm.
will know which basket has the detergent, which basket has the softener, which
Mm-hmm.
basket has the spot cleaners, and so on and so forth. And labeling is really good so that everybody
Mm-hmm.
is on the same page
Yeah.
with their blind VIP in the household. So
That was something that I definitely had to start doing. I was always just label everything in Braille and you're good. But then I have a sighted partner, so
there you go.
when he's here, it's like, oh, okay, so okay, now everything has to have a print label and a Braille label, and I mean
Hmm.
it's just good practice because you never know who's coming over, right? You never know who might need to go help you find something. You're in the front room digging through something. Oh, could you just pop into the back room? It's in the bin labeled. And then everybody can use
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, finding creative ways to label for yourself. I'm very into the puff paints. I'm very into
Yeah.
wiki sticks. I don't know if you have those down south. Pick them up at the CNIB here. They're very fun. They're like candle wicks covered in wax, and you can shape them into all kinds of different shapes, and they stick to things without leaving a residue. They're pretty fun.
Yes.
You could Anyways, I'm just gonna pop over here quickly to
Yeah. There's
the
a lot.
comments here. There's a few
Like
things going
there's.
on. Aletha says hello.
I saw.
Scott
Hello.
says hello, ladies from Michigan. Hello, Scott.
Hi.
Letha says yes, bump dots are awesome. Yeah, they're the best thing in the world. And oh, thanks. I'm not sure what she's saying. Oh, thanks for, but we probably long past that because I'm too bad at getting to comments in the chat there. But do you actually? I think this is probably around the time when we should start winding down here because we've been at this for almost an hour. It doesn't feel that long to me.
Time goes by fast. Yeah.
Oh, I've been having such a great time.
I
Do
know.
you have any kind of final thoughts on acceptance or any other accessibility tips or any kind of last
Yeah.
thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to acceptance, I think it doesn't matter what stage or phase or how long you've experienced sight loss. Everyone has their own unique individual journey, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone has their own time frame. Nothing happens overnight. And so everyone has their own pace, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't compare yourself and your experience with anyone else in the community, because our journey to acceptance, that is a very personal role. It's a very personal path we all walk
Mm-hmm.
down. And though we all can relate to each other, we all have similar common experiences and things like that. I think a lot of us get discouraged because and we might feel pressure from family and friends because we might be depressed for a full year or more, or we may not, have a lot of drive or ambition to learn all the adaptive technology or things. And so we feel that pressure to get out there and do this, but we're not ready yet. And you know what? I just want to hug those people and let you know, hey, you go at the pace you need to go, because it's your life, it's your journey, it is your experiences with a disability, and sometimes it hits people grieving harder than others, and you are allowed that time and that space to grieve, and you should take it and but be healthy about it. You want to still make the right choices and strive to gain control of your life back after sight loss. And so when it comes to like accessibility and things like that, I try to always post some tips and hacks and tricks and things from time to time. I sprinkle them in on my channel all the time. So you can definitely find a lot of ideas. I did them mostly in the beginning of my channel when I rambled a lot. So hang in there on some of those videos where I'm just going on and on and on. But I try to, like bump dots. I had a blind mom hacks video on bump dots. And I had like 9 or 10 different ways you can use bump dots to hang pictures, to like my kids were like slamming the toilet lid down. It was so loud. And I'm like, bump dots, muffles the sound. I have just like so many different ways. So yeah, for you just check out the channel and you'll probably find a tip or hack on there that you can hopefully use in your life.
That's absolutely fantastic. In terms of kind of journey to acceptance, I think absolutely 100% everything you said, one step at a time. You're allowed to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You're not always going to be on this upward trajectory to this powerhouse of disability advocacy and to be the voice of a community, because that's not your job. You're allowed to be short with people when they ask you intrusive questions. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to be you. And I think the first step to acceptance is just recognizing that we're all imperfect and it takes time. So that's it for me. And then in terms of accessibility, I would say find a system that works for you. There is no one system. There is no one best way to do things. If you like high contrast, use high contrast. If you like Braille, use Braille. If you need large print, there's lots of large print label makers. So just find that solution that works best for you. I'm just going to pop over to the chat one last time here.
Oh, that was me that just popped something. I just said it was great meeting everyone.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I did get one more question from Aletha. Oh. She asks, where do you draw all your continued inspiration with YouTube? And she said, that sounds amazing, like an amazing video. I'll watch that one. I'm presuming that's probably relating to your dollar store hacks or your dollar store accessibility finds.
I still need to do the dollar store one. Yeah, that one's coming up. So stay tuned for that one.
Yes,
but there's a lot of other ones on the channel.
In terms of finding inspiration for YouTube content, I think my biggest inspiration is listening to people's comments, is being present in the community and seeing what's needed. So if I see somebody ask a question 10 times and it's a different person, I know that's a question a lot of people have. So that's probably a good thing to talk about. Or if somebody leaves a comment and says, hey, I really don't know how to thread a needle. I can't do it. I can't see it. I'm 67 years old. I've been sewing my whole life and I feel like I can't anymore. I say, okay, great. We're going to do a video on how to thread a needle. So I draw my inspiration from my community. I draw my inspiration from the people around me, and my partner's really great at finding these fabulous articles about disability or discrimination, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I get real fired up, and then I can do an unsightly opinions, a true unsightly opinions.
There you go.
So yeah, how about you? What's your final thought on finding inspiration for videos?
My problem is I almost have too many ideas. Because it's always like I totally agree with you. I try to keep a good pulse on the community on social media in general, and when I see, you know, the same similar themes and struggles coming up, then I want to do my best to help that situation and solve that problem and such. But yeah, I think a lot of inspiration too comes from my subscribers asking questions too. I had one the other day that I'm getting. So I've got another live stream coming up in a couple of days on Friday night on my channel, and someone asked me, you know, hey, we go on family vacations all the time, but she is a sighted spouse, and her husband is the one who's visually impaired, and she's like, we go on family vacations all the time, but I want to go on one with just us. But with him losing a lot of vision, we just don't know what is going to be a good vacation option for us anymore. And I'm like, gotcha, girl, coming up. We're going to talk about it. And so, yeah, I think between my subscribers and just trying to stay active and involved in the community, there's tons of inspiration there.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much, Cindy, for joining us. This was so much fun. I hope we can do it again very soon.
Yes.
You'll have to let me know how you enjoyed this live stream content. If you like things like this, we absolutely
give it a thumbs up.
Yes, let me know if you like this content. If you do, we'll absolutely do more interviews, because I think it's really important to share that varied view in the blind and low vision community, and how each of us have a shared experience, but it's also unique. So that's probably it for us this evening. Thank you so much for joining. For all of you that kind of stuck through right here till the end, thank you so much. And we'll be check out Cindy's video on Friday, and I'll be back on Saturday with your regularly scheduled programming. But have a great evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.